Deep beneath the ancient soil of modern-day Iraq, there is a river that has been flowing since before recorded history began, the Euphrates. One of the four rivers said to flow from the Garden of Eden itself. But here is what almost no one has ever been told. In the final book of the Bible, the Book of Revelation, a voice speaks from the golden altar before God's throne. And that voice gives one chilling command. Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. Not wandering, not resting, bound, restrained. Imprisoned at a specific geographic location on this earth until a specific hour, a specific day, a specific month, and a specific year appointed before creation itself. Who are these four angels? Why were they bound? What did they do, or what are they destined to do, that was so catastrophic that God himself had them chained and held at the edge of human civilization? By the end of this video, we will walk through ancient texts, forgotten history, and the hidden architecture of prophecy to answer a question the church has almost never dared to ask out loud. Stay with us. This is one of the most extraordinary mysteries in all of Scripture. Before we go any further, I want to pause and ask you something. Have you ever sat in a church service, a Bible study, or a Sunday school class, and wondered why certain passages in Revelation were simply skipped over, glossed past, treated like they were too complicated or too controversial for an ordinary person to understand? You are not alone. Millions of people have felt exactly that. If you are someone who believes there is more to the story, that the Bible contains layers of truth we were never quite shown, then this channel exists for you. Go ahead and hit that like button right now if you want to keep uncovering hidden truths like this one. And subscribe if you never want to miss a discovery like what we are about to share. This community is growing because people like you refuse to accept a shallow version of history and faith. And if you have a friend, a family member, a spouse, someone who stays up at night thinking about the deep things of Scripture, share this with them today. They deserve to see this too. Now, let us go back to the beginning. Close your eyes for just a moment and picture this. It is roughly 3,500 years before the birth of Christ. In the Fertile Crescent between two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, the first cities in human history are rising from the dust. Babylon, Nineveh. These are not just names in a history textbook. These are the birthplaces of written language, of law, of astronomy, of organized religion. The Euphrates was not simply a river. It was the lifeblood of civilization. Empires were built along its banks. Wars were fought over its waters. It was the border of the promised land, the farthest boundary God described when he made his covenant with Abraham. In Genesis 15, God told Abraham that the land of his descendants would stretch all the way to the great river, the river Euphrates. For the ancient world, the Euphrates was the edge of everything known. Beyond it lay mystery, chaos, the unknown nations of the East. And it is precisely here, at this boundary between the known and the unknown, that the book of Revelation places four beings of enormous, terrifying power, chained, waiting. Revelation 9:14 records the moment with startling precision. Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. The word for bound in the original Greek, deo, means to be tied, fastened, shackled. This is not a metaphor. This is imprisonment. But imprisoned for what, and by whom? The answer will fundamentally change the way you read the entire book of Revelation. Here is the first thing that most people, even serious Bible scholars, completely miss. These four angels are not described as fallen. They are not called demons. They are not given the names of Satan's lieutenants. The text does not say they are evil. What it says is that they are released, and they immediately fulfill a divinely appointed mission. Revelation 9:15 tells us, they had been prepared for this very hour, this very day, this very month, this very year, to kill a third of mankind. Think about what that means, a third of all humanity. And here is the detail that will stop you cold. The word prepared in the Greek is hedoimazo, the same word used when John the Baptist was described as preparing the way for Jesus. These are not rogue beings. They are prepared, scheduled, purpose-built. Most people read the book of Revelation and see chaos. But what if we have been reading it wrong? What if the binding of these four angels is not punishment, but containment? A divine pause button pressed on beings of immense world-altering power, held in place until the precise moment in history when God chooses to let history accelerate toward its conclusion? There is a concept in ancient Jewish theology called the appointed times, the Hebrew word moedim. These are the fixed moments on God's cosmic calendar when certain things, certain events, certain judgments, certain interventions are permitted to unfold. The binding of the four angels fits perfectly inside this framework. They are not imprisoned because they failed. They are held because their moment has not yet come. But that still leaves the deepest question unanswered. Why the Euphrates? Why this specific river? And what does the ancient world tell us about what was happening there? Long before John ever wrote a single word of revelation. To understand why the Euphrates is the appointed place of binding, we have to travel back to one of the most overlooked passages in the entire Old Testament. In the Book of Deuteronomy, and echoed in the writings of Second Temple Judaism, the rich theological tradition that flourished between the Old and New Testaments, there is a concept that ancient scholars called the divine council. The idea that God rules not alone but presides over a heavenly assembly of divine beings, each assigned to oversee specific portions of the earth and its peoples. In Deuteronomy 32:8, a passage that most modern translations soften considerably, the original Hebrew text, confirmed by the ancient Dead Sea Scrolls, reads that when the Most High divided the nations, he set their boundaries according to the number of the sons of God. Sons of God, divine beings, assigned to the nations. And the ancient world knew exactly where the boundary of Israel's cosmic inheritance ended, at the Euphrates River. Beyond that boundary lay the domain of other divine beings, other watchers, assigned to the great empires of the East. Now here is where the mystery deepens into something extraordinary. The Book of Enoch, one of the most significant texts of Second Temple Judaism, quoted directly in the New Testament letter of Jude, describes a class of angelic beings called watchers who overstepped their appointed boundaries, who interfered with human civilization in ways that corrupted and derailed the course of history. What if the four angels bound at the Euphrates are watchers, divine beings assigned to the great river boundary, who at some point in deep prehistory exceeded their commission? And what if their binding at that very boundary is itself a statement, a divine declaration that the authority they abused has been revoked, suspended until the final reckoning? The Euphrates does not just mark the edge of ancient geography, it marks the edge of divine jurisdiction. And the four angels bound there are being held at the precise location of their original assignment. But that is not even the most shocking part. Here is the revelation that ties everything together, and it comes from an unexpected direction.
The number 4.
In biblical numerology, 4 is the number of the earth, 4 corners of the earth, 4 winds, 4 living creatures around the throne of God. 4 is always tied to the physical world, to creation, to the material realm of human existence. And now consider this. The 4 angels are not scattered across heaven or earth. They are bound together at one place, the Euphrates, the border of the ancient world, the river of origins. In the ancient cosmology that shaped both Jewish and early Christian thought, the world was governed by 4 great angelic princes, one for each quadrant of the earth: north, south, east, west. These were beings of immense civilization-shaping power. And in multiple ancient texts, from the Book of Daniel to the writings of the Dead Sea community to the pseudepigraphical literature of the early centuries, these 4 princes are described as the ultimate superintendents of human history. When Revelation speaks of 4 angels bound at the Euphrates, it is not describing 4 minor figures. It is describing the 4 overseers of the entire earth, the very beings responsible for the rise and fall of empires, the direction of nations, the course of human civilization itself. They are bound, held, restrained, and when they are released in that appointed hour, on that appointed day, what is unleashed is not merely destruction. It is the final removal of all restraint on the powers that have shaped this world from its beginning. Here is the most breathtaking implication of all. The binding of these 4 angels at the Euphrates is, in a very real sense, the reason history has continued. The reason civilization has not yet reached its final chapter. Every empire that rose and fell, Egypt, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, every war, every plague, every dark century of human suffering, all of it unfolded within the boundaries of a restrained world. A world where the full unshackled power of these beings was still being held in check. When God releases them, it will not feel like chaos breaking out. It will feel like a long-delayed conclusion finally, inevitably, arriving. The Euphrates River has been holding the door closed. And one day, at an hour that was written into the fabric of creation before the first human being ever drew breath, that door will open. We were never supposed to understand this, but the text was always there, waiting for those with eyes willing to see it. Today we uncovered something that the church has rarely spoken about openly. 4 angelic beings of world-altering power bound at the great Euphrates River, not as punishment, but as containment, held at the very boundary of divine jurisdiction until the precise preordained moment appointed before creation itself. Their release will not be chaos. It will be the culmination of a plan that has been running since the beginning of history. This is not just prophecy. This is the hidden architecture beneath everything we think we know about the world. Now I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell us, what part of today's discovery surprised you the most? Was it the meaning of bound in the original Greek? The connection to the divine council and the watchers? Or the staggering implication that the four angels represent the overseers of the entire earth? Tell us below. We read every single comment in this community. If this fascinated you, you will not be able to stop watching our next video about the Book of Enoch, the forbidden scripture that was removed from the Bible, quoted by Jesus himself, and buried for 2,000 years until it was rediscovered in an Ethiopian monastery. Share this video with someone in your life who loves the deep things of history and faith. They deserve to know what we discovered today. And if you have not yet subscribed, do it now. Every week we pull back the curtain on another hidden truth from ancient history, forgotten scriptures, and the mysteries of faith that were almost lost to time. We will see you in the next one.